Hello, my name is Bruce Kleckler. I am a senior consultant at LIDP. I am here today to show you a simple live demonstration of how death claims are processed on the administrator using a life insurance contract. I have set up a simple insurance contract with not a lot of bells and whistles on it, but just for the purposes of this demonstration, I've set up this contract is a whole life policy with dividends being used to purchase paid up additions. The base policy has a face amount of 150 units or $150,000. I've also got an accidental death benefit rider on here for 1,000 units or $1 million. And you can see that I have insured owner payer who is at issue a 40-year-old male, a spouse who is also an owner on the contract, and 3 children. I have paid accounting history. I have paid premium payments each year since issue in 2008, so I've got 7 or 8 years worth of premium payments out there, 7 years worth of premium payments, annual payments. And I also, on this policy, if I look at my dividend history, I can see that I can see dividend history of the dividends used to purchase paid up additions over the past 6 anniversaries. If I look at values on this policy before I get started, I can see current values that will show me the cash value of the policy, the dividend value of the policy. The dividends have been used to purchase paid up insurance in the amount of $6,047.01. So this policy has basically been on the system for a while, and now I'm just going to process the death claim against it. So I start by going to my status pull down at the top of the screen, and you can see that one of the options is process a death claim. I'm going to select that, and it gives me the death claim processing screen. The couple of default values that are filled in here on this first screen are today's date as the quote date and the date of death. I can choose typically any of the clients associated with the policy. The only one who's actually insured on this policy is John Doe, so I will leave him as the person who I'm processing the death claim on. I can look at my insurance totals. I can see that I have owner proceeds here of $870.83. That comes from the premium adjustment. That's a refund of the unearned premium, the $2,800 annual premium that was paid in April would take me till April of 2015. So I'm going to refund that portion of the premium prorated from the date of death till April. I also have the $150,000 face amount from the base coverage here, and I have the $6,000 paid up addition face amount that goes into the total death benefit of $156,047 or $156,047.01. Now, if I clicked on the accidental death, if I say, yes, this was an accidental death, and resubmit this, you can quickly see the accidental death benefit of $1 million being included in to the total death benefit amount. Now, realistically, we're not going to receive notice of the date of death or on the date of death and process, and it's all not going to happen today. Realistically, our date of death is probably going to be sometime in the past. I'm going to make this November 15th, 2014, and then I will call proof of death, I'll just say November 28th, 2014. These are typically going to be backdated a little ways. So now you can see when I do that the numbers have changed slightly. Just the owner proceed numbers is the one that changed. So I went from $800 and some dollars, whatever it was, to $1,076. So this is really, at this point, all I need to do to get the death claim started. All I really need to do, the only thing that's required as the first step, is to indicate the date of death, the proof of death, and that's enough to add the death claim to the policy and initiate the process, just to begin the process. So doing that, and if that's all I did today, I could close out of that and I could go home, and actually this policy now, anytime somebody retrieves this policy again, they'll see a little message here that says a death claim has been filed. So now we know that the death claim has been initiated, that something is in the works. Typically the next step, I'm still going back to this same screen again, the process death claim, and I really could have done this all at the same time. I just did it one step at a time for demonstration purposes. But the next step, I can process the death claim. I can also add some beneficiaries down here. I'm going to go ahead and process the death claim just to show what happens there. So P to process, I click submit. I should have some Jeopardy music or something here. Okay, there we go. So now, once again, just to close out of here and show what's happened so far, results-wise. What I'm showing here, what I can show you here, is that the status of the coverage has gone to a status 68. It was a status 32, which was premium paying in force. Now it's a status 68. It's in a death claim payout or a death claim pending status. and my accidental death benefit has been terminated, has been changed to inactive. And the same would be true for any other rider's benefits that were on this policy. When I initiate a death claim against the base coverage, all the other riders on the policy will be terminated. The other thing I can show you at this point is some accounting that has been generated to go to our general ledger system, or to interface to your general ledger system. So pulling up the accounting history for this policy, I can actually see in this case the accounting history going back to the beginning of time, as it were, because in this test region which I'm using to use the demo, we don't have nightly jobs running that would be clearing out the accounting and sending it off to your downstream general ledger systems. So what you can really see in this accounting is really accounting for all the premium payments that I applied as I was setting up the policy and getting it to this point. But what we're really looking for at this time is the accounting that would have been generated just now when I did process the death claim. And that accounting actually is showing up first on this screen. Everything that you see here with a record number of 1 is the accounting that would have been generated by the death claim process. So you can see the back out of the prorated unearned premium, a little over $1,000, and then you can see the YT88 here is the cashing out, as it were, of the cash value of the paid up additions, the cash value of the policy itself, the base coverage. So the policy values are being cashed out at this point, and then they get credited to some recovery account for the insurance company. Then you can also see the $1 million, $156,000 being credited to a beneficiary holding account. And you can see here the $1,076 and change being credited to an owner holding account. So those amounts now sit in those accounts waiting for us to process payments to the owner, if the owner is not the insured, and in this case there is a second owner, or process the payments to the beneficiaries. So at this point, again, I'm doing this one step at a time. We could have done this in multiple steps, or in a single step. So now going back to my policy again, the next thing I'm going to do, which again I could have done earlier, is I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add some beneficiaries. So when I want to add clients as beneficiaries, I get a list. When I click here, I get a pull-down list that I can select from anybody who is listed on the contract as a beneficiary. So I can select each one of the children. I can add, and I can give each one of the children their portion of the death benefit. And now there's going to be an edit here that obviously this has to add up to 100%. Of course, 100% doesn't split evenly 3 ways, so I have to decide at this point which child is my favorite, I guess, and give that child the extra percent. And now, since I'm adding on these lower line functions down here, I'm adding those beneficiaries, but that represents a change to the overall death claim to add those beneficiaries. So I can do that. And there, that has happened. I could take a quick look back. Again, just doing this in multiple steps for purposes of demonstration, but I could look back to the accounting history on this policy, and I can see that I have recorded some history of the things that I've been doing, and this will be for purposes of later being able to undo and redo or back out and reapply these things. You'll notice in this accounting history, you'll see that the last premium payment that was paid originally on April 1st of 2014 has been split into the premium payment that pays the policy up to the date of death, and then the returning the unearned premium that's being refunded from November 15th on. I can also see that on today's date, 12/11, is when I added the death benefit and processed it, deleting the coverage or terminating the coverage and the benefit. And then here's where I changed the death benefit 3 times. I changed it to add the 3 beneficiaries. So that's all in there. Now I could also, if I decided that my spouse also should have been one of the beneficiaries, I can still come in here to my spouse and I can change the spouse and add a beneficiary relationship to the spouse. And if I save that, then I can come back. I actually have to refresh the contract when I've made a client change because of some things that go on in the background. But I can come back to my death claim again, and at this point now, since I've added my spouse as a beneficiary as well, now the spouse also shows up in this list where she did not before. But I can add the spouse, give the spouse 25%, and I can change the percentages on the children to 25% each. So as long as they still add up to 100, I can come in and change my percentages. So all of this can be done over the period of days, weeks, even months as the death claim is being adjudicated and as the paperwork is coming in, and we're really deciding who the rightful beneficiaries are and what percentage of the proceeds they should get and all of that. So like I said, over the period of days, weeks, months, we can do all of this. Oh, I forgot to hit submit. And eventually, we reach the point where everything's been finalized. I'm going to go ahead and do another change because I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start to add in proof of loss dates for each of the beneficiaries and good order dates. Now I think there's edits in here. I know there's edits in all these date fields. The sequence of these dates has to make sense. I think this good order date has to be, I don't think it can be prior to the date that I first started the process. So I think I can only put today's date in there at this point. But I can come down to all of these, and I don't have to do them all at once. I could do just the ones that I'm ready to process, or I could do them all, but I'm just going to do a couple of them, and I'm going to go ahead and add the dates for those two beneficiaries. So now I've added the dates to those first couple of beneficiaries, and I'm not going to worry about the last two beneficiaries for now, but I am going to go to the Other Clients tab. Actually, on this tab, I've got owners. I've got a small table where I can add owners, additional owners, if the owner is someone other than the insured who has passed. In this case, the spouse was an owner, or is an owner, so I'm going to select the spouse, and the owner proceeds, I'm going to say, I'm going to give those owner proceeds, that refund of unearned premium, to the spouse. So I can add the spouse to that table. Again, that's a change to the overall death claim, so a change function up here, an add function here, and now I've added that spouse. There's also another table down here where I can add additional clients for any reason, or any other clients that are on the policy for any reason. Then I can send that would be, for example, if you had an assignee or something that you wanted somebody else on the policy to get some portion of the death benefit proceeds. They don't have to be listed as beneficiaries. They could be down here. So I am going to process the payment to this beneficiary now. And that has been accepted. That is correct. So now I'm just going to go back once again, and I'm going to show, back to my accounting history, and if I refresh this, of course I've made several changes since the last time I pulled this up, so I've got a lot more changes been recorded here as history, and I can also see the disbursement from the death claim to that first beneficiary. So 25% of the total death benefit amount, $289,000, dispersed to the first beneficiary. And I can also see that in the accounting extracts that will be sent off to my general ledger account system. I can see the $289,000 being taken from the beneficiary holding and ultimately ending up in suspense as a check to be sent to that beneficiary tonight. So at close, during our close processing overnight, any money that's in these suspense accounts gets turned into checks and sent out, in this case, to the beneficiary. So the one more thing that I will show is a disbursement of the owner proceeds. So here again, I'm back to my owner. I still have to fill in the proof of loss date for the owner and the good order date. Oops. And that is a change. And a change up here. So having added those dates and declaring that everything is in order for processing that payment to the owner, I can do that the same way that I processed the payment to the beneficiary, with a change to the death claim and processing the payment to this owner. And here again, if I go back to my accounting history, I can see now the accounting transaction to disperse that $1,000 to the owner. It was hiding behind the window, so it was there all along. So in any case, that's how we add the death claim to the policy. We get the policy processed. We get the death claim processed. We've got the beneficiaries on there. We've distributed payment to the first of the 4 beneficiaries at this point, and we've distributed payment to the owner. And we would just continue on in the same way with payments to the remaining 3 beneficiaries. Eventually, once the last beneficiary is paid out, the status of the policy would change to a 92, terminated by a death claim, and we'd be finished. But I'm not going to do that for purposes of this demonstration, because this has been plenty long as it is. So, all that being said, if you have any questions or would like to follow up on any of this, my name again was Bruce Kleckler, and you can see my email address there, kleckbr@lidp.com, or you can visit our website at lidp.com for more information.